This topic, we're looking at complex fraction without variables, problem type 2. I'm going to show you two examples. Clearly, you wouldn't be doing problem type 2 unless you've already mastered problem type 1. So that's key. Make sure you have that one already completed. Here, the problems look slightly more complicated. I'm going to start off with the problem 3/4 minus 5/2. All of that over 1/4 minus 2/5. Okay, so one thing that you have to do to start is realize I don't just have a fraction divided by a fraction. So your first job, your first duty is to get one fraction over one fraction by either adding or subtracting as needed. So like, for example, here I need to just do this little math problem. I got to do 3/4 minus 5/2. I got to subtract. So I got to get a common denominator, which would be a common denominator of 4 and 2 is 4. It's the smallest number that both divide into. So that means I only need to multiply this fraction by 2 over 2 to get that common denominator of 4. So that would be 3/4 minus 5 times 2 is 10, and 2 times 2 is 4. I'm just going to finish this top thought all the way to the end. So it's going to be 3 minus 10, that's negative 7/4. That's my top fraction. Done. Now I need to focus on this bottom one. Now the LCD of 4 and 5 is 20. That's the smallest number they both divide into. So I have to multiply this fraction by 5 over 5, because 5 times 4 is 20. So I got to do the 5 to the top. Now, to make this denominator 20, I got to multiply that guy by a 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So I got to multiply top and bottom by 4. So 5 times 1 is 5. That'd be 5 over 20. 5 times 4 is 20. Then it'd be minus 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 4 is 20. So I have 5 minus 8. That'd be negative 3/20. So let me just kind of highlight here what we have. Now we have a problem type 1 complex fraction. I have a fraction over a fraction. This is the only difference, guys, between problem type 1 and 2 is that first step you have to subtract or add the fractions to get here. Now it's review. I'm going to take the top fraction, negative 7/4, divide it by the bottom fraction, negative 3/20. That's the same as keeping the first fraction and multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction, which would be negative 20/3. Can I reduce anything? Let's see. I know that I can divide a 2 out of both the 4 and the 20. So if I divide 4 by 2, I have a 2. If I divide 20 by 2, I have the negative 10. I should say negative 20 by 2 is negative 10. So all I did was divide a 2 out of each of those numbers and reduced the fraction. So now I have negative 7 times negative 10. That is positive 70. 2 times 3, 6. And I don't have to reduce because it's already done. That would be my answer. Let's look at one more. If I have 1 minus 9/5 over 1 plus 9/4. Okay, same idea, guys. That first step is I have to get this subtraction and this addition done. Good news is 1 minus 9/5, 1 is just 1 over 1. So the common denominator of 1 and 5 is just 5. So I'm going to multiply the 1's by 5 over 5. That'll make it 5 over 5, otherwise known as the number 1, minus 9 over 5. Since they have the same denominators, it's going to be 5. And 5 minus 9, that's negative 4. So that's my top fraction, negative 4/5. Over here, 1 plus 9/4, the common denominator is going to be a 4. So I got to just multiply this guy by 4 over 4 to make it a denominator of 4. That's going to end up being 4 fourths plus 9 fourths. 4 plus 9 being 13 fourths. Now we can do the type 1 trick. I'm going to take that, negative 4 fifths, divide it by that, 13 fourths, which is the same as keeping the first fraction, multiplying by the reciprocal, 4 thirteenths. Man, I was kind of hoping the 4s would cancel, but they end up both being on the top. So negative 4 times positive 4, that's 16. 5 times 13, that's 5 times 10 is 50, plus 5 times 3 is 15, that's 65. And you can't reduce anything, because if we could have, we would have been able to cancel some factors here, but, ooh, it was negative 2, right? There's a negative 16 on the top. And that's it. I hope that helps you guys with conquering the complex fractions problem type 2. Good luck.